Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GSA webinar, GSA 2020 Annual Scientific Meeting Online Speaker Procedures. The webinar is being recorded and will be posted on the GSA website. A notice to all attendees will be distributed once the recording is available. A question and answer session will immediately follow 2 segments of today's live program. We will be accepting questions through the questions feature that's accessible on the GoToWebinar panel. Also located there are downloadable handouts for today, speaker procedures for GSA Annual Scientific Meeting, and cadmium uploading slides and audio. Opening today's program is GSA Chief Executive Officer James Appleby. Without further delay, I'll hand the microphone to James.
Thank you, Judy. Well, let me say a big welcome to all of our webinar participants this morning. We here at GSA hope that you're all keeping well and navigating this upside down world caused by COVID-19 as well as possible. The GSA team is pleased to use this opportunity to assist annual scientific meeting presenters in preparing for the meeting. We'll be providing you a quick overview of the meeting, details about the presentation formats, and most importantly, information about uploading your presentations. And as Judy mentioned, we'll be responding to submitted questions along the way as well. I'll be joined by my colleagues shown here, Megan McCutcheon and Andrew Alex. They're 2 of the key GSA team members that have been working to prepare for this first ever GSA Annual Scientific Meeting online. Next slide, please. The GSA Board of Directors made the decision to transform the in-person meeting, which had been scheduled for Philadelphia, to an all-online event in late June, when it became clear that that was the most appropriate course of action to protect all participants while still enabling the sharing of the scholarship that had already been submitted to GSA. Since that time, GSA staff working with the Annual Scientific Meeting Work Group, which represents all GSA sections, has been moving quickly to navigate this transformation from an in-person meeting to an all-online event. The overarching goal presented to the Board of Directors in late June was that all individuals who have an accepted abstract will indeed have the ability to attend the virtual annual scientific meeting and share their research. We're aware that a number of societies, when they go to an online approach, have dramatically cut the number of opportunities for individuals to share their scholarship. We wanted to make sure that every individual who had scholarship accepted did have the chance to participate. Now, we've been able, of course, with this transformation to a virtual platform to recreate many of the elements of the annual meeting. So the opportunity to share scholarship, there will be networking opportunities, there will be an online exhibit hall. So many of the elements could be transformed into a virtual event. Of course, some elements can't be recreated and others need to be adapted for the online environment. We can't recreate that sort of joy of walking down the hallway and bumping into an old colleague or a friend or catching up with someone from graduate school, for example. And some things that have to be adapted, we all know from our experiences with online meetings that the amount of attention that we can expect from the audience can be challenging. So presentation times have to be perhaps adapted to accommodate for this online approach. Now, 2 important things to note is that with this online approach, we are going to be able to make the content available to registrants for a full 2 months, from October 28th through December 31st. So 1 week before the meeting opens, people will be able to go in and interact with all the content that's provided there on demand so that they can go through the scholarship at their leisure and prepare for the actual meeting kicking off in person November 4th. And this content will be available through December 31st. So it extends the value of the meeting for individuals who aren't able to participate at those exact times due to other commitments. And of course, all abstracts, and this is very important, all abstracts that are presented at the annual scientific meeting will be published in Innovation and Aging, GSA's online journal, so that your scholarship can be included in the peer-reviewed literature. Next slide, please. So to support this online transformation, GSA has contracted with a professional online meeting platform vendor to host the event. The firm's name is Cadmium. We've benefited, the GSA team has greatly from their expertise because they've hosted many online scientific conferences. They've got experiences and insights, for example, into what the best practices are for online events. And they've helped us to even shape the programming formats. They have an online tool to help you submit your scholarship, and Megan and Andrew will be walking you through that. Some have reported or are already using the tool and said, oh, it's daunting at first until you get used to it. Others have reported that once they begin using the tool, it all makes sense. Again, we'll be getting into the details of that very shortly. One of the other things that really is made clear from this online experience and working with Cadmium is the importance not only of content, but also opportunities for engagement and interactivity along the way. That's where some of the magic of GSA's interdisciplinary membership really comes forward. And so we've created opportunities for that with presenter discussions as an example. And again, you'll hear more about that as well, but really trying to do everything we can to support the interdisciplinary collaboration that the GSA is known for. Next slide, please. Now, while today we're going to focus on the information you need as presenters, some of you may be interested to know sort of some of the established broader objectives for the meeting. We, of course, as shown here, want to make sure that research on aging can be shared widely. We want to provide opportunities for that ongoing conversation and dialogue between researchers, networking chances, honoring our 2020 award recipients, individuals who are being recognized for their excellence. They'll have a chance to present their award lectures. And then really taking an opportunity, the fact that we are online, to try to open up new audiences because it is readily available. There are individuals in various sort of adjacent fields that perhaps would benefit from participating in an annual scientific meeting, and they really have that opportunity this year more than ever. And then, of course, because it is online, we'll be able not only to have all of GSA's members from around the world, and we do have members in 54 different countries. It's about 18% of our membership, I think. They will all be able to participate, and new individuals, perhaps who have not participated in the meeting before, will be able to join us as well, again, from around the world. Next slide, please. Before I turn the program over to Megan, I'd like to give a big shout out, a big thank you to the annual scientific meeting work group that planned not one, but 2 annual scientific meetings. And they're shown here. You'll see their representatives from all of GSA sections. This group led the process of peer review, the putting papers into sessions, the planning process for the in-person meeting scheduled for Philadelphia, as well as when the decision was made to go online. They have led the process of creating this online experience and helping make all the necessary adjustments for the online process, identifying streaming symposia topics, etc. So a big thank you to them. I think all GSA members owe them a debt of gratitude for their leadership in taking on this planning of 2 meetings during somewhat adverse circumstances, to say the least. Finally, let me just say that during any normal GSA year, and I think perhaps we all sort of forget what normal was, but during any normal annual scientific meeting in person, about 20% of meeting attendees are what we might refer to as first timers. They're their first time attending a conference of GSA's scale. And many of you, perhaps, who've attended multiple annual scientific meetings can remember your first time at the meeting. And perhaps it felt overwhelming at first, sort of trying to figure out how to navigate this. Where do I go to? What's the priority? But then you learned quickly how the meeting worked. You adapted to its scale and to the many things happening all at once, and you figured out how to get the most out of it. And I don't know, perhaps it's your experience as researchers and educators and clinicians. You're accustomed to experiments and pilot programs, trying new things, and perhaps these are some of the factors that enable GSA members to adapt to new situations quickly. Well, this year, we're all first timers. All of the individuals presenting their scholarship on the online platform, the GSA leadership, the GSA staff, we're all first timers as GSA hosts its first annual scientific meeting online. We're going to learn together. We're going to figure out how to get the most out of this new experience. And we're going to continue to advance gerontological research here in 2020 through this new mechanism. Now, I'd like to turn the program over to Megan McCutcheon to begin the process of walking through the different mechanisms for uploading your content. And again, there will be 2 question and answer periods. We're going to stop about halfway through and take questions, and then come back at the end and take some additional questions as well. Megan, please take it away.
Thanks, James. First, I will review the format of abstracts. There are 2 ways an abstract can be displayed to attendees: on-demand abstracts and streaming symposia. Most abstracts, accepted abstracts, will be on-demand presentations. They are recorded presentations available to attendees from October 28th through the end of the year. On-demand abstracts are accessible 24/7 at the convenience of the attendee through our meeting website. Each on-demand abstract will have a question and discussion board attached to each of them. On-demand abstracts consist of papers, posters, and symposia. Streaming symposia are pre-recorded and broadcast live at a designated time to a live audience. A live question and answer will immediately follow the broadcast streaming symposia. The entire live session of the broadcast plus the live question and answer will be posted and made available on demand for replay to meeting attendees within a week of the broadcast time. These are 2 different formats that require 2 different technologies and therefore have 2 different sets of speaker tasks. We will review each today because some presenters have multiple abstracts that fall into both of these formats. Next slide, please. Speakers are responsible for recording presentations and completing their assigned tasks within the Cadmium system. Individual symposia abstract first authors and paper and poster first authors are assigned with uploading presentation material and completing the presentation recordings. All chairs and co-chairs have a task to review and confirm the content of the entire symposium within Cadmium. On-demand chairs and co-chairs have the option of uploading presentation material and completing an audio recording. Streaming symposia chairs and co-chairs do not have a task to complete an audio recording or upload materials within Cadmium. Discussants are not assigned any tasks in Cadmium. A common question we have received relates to first author changes. First author changes can be made by emailing abstracts@geron.org. First authors are given the ability to access Cadmium and perform assigned tasks. These changes will be reflected in the final citation of the abstract. And additional details can be found in the speaker procedures document attached here as a handout, as well as on our instructions for presenters landing page on geron.org. Next slide, please. This is an example of a speaker task list that you would find in Cadmium. All speakers of all formats must go to their task list. You go to this task list through the access key, which was emailed to you on September 9th. This can be resent at any time by emailing abstracts@geron.org. Tasks display depending on your presentation format. Everything we will discuss for action prior to October 28th will be found in this task list. There are 2 separate locations to complete task lists because we have 2 platforms. One platform are for posters and another platform are for paper and symposia. Each speaker task list can be found on one of these platforms. And because there are 2 platforms, you will need 2 access keys. If you have a poster presentation, you will have a speaker task list on the poster platform and will have received an access key emailed on September 9th. If you have a paper or a symposia, you have another platform with a speaker task list and have another access key. These access keys are unique to the user. Next slide, please. Now I will focus on on-demand abstracts. Each on-demand speaker uploads a presentation, slides, or a one-page poster PDF, and has an opportunity to audio record a presentation within Cadmium. Once you upload your slides or one-page poster PDF, you will proceed to the Record on-Demand Presentation audio task, where it indicates the length of recording time available to you. The length of time is dependent on the format of your abstract as well as the type of your abstract. This is completed by recording audio slide by slide or one-page PDF poster within the Cadmium platform. Please note that for specifics and a step-by-step guide on how to upload your slides and complete audio presentations is available through the guide created by Cadmium. This can be found as an attachment as a handout to today's webinar or under the Important Resources section found directly below your task list within Cadmium. Next slide, please. This slide is very important. We understand that many individuals like to continue to revise their presentation. This is possible until the on-demand deadline of October 12th. However, because the audio presentations are recorded slide by slide, and those audio recordings become one file, if you want to make changes to your PowerPoint or one-page poster PDF, that revision will automatically replace your PowerPoint or PDF and erase your audio recording that was attached to your slides or PDF. And you will need to re-record your presentation. There is not an option to retrieve the original recording from Cadmium. Please be mindful of this process while making your audio presentation. The audio presentation can be revised as many times as needed until the submitted due date of October 12th. We encourage all presenters that before completing your audio recording to review and ensure your final slides before starting your audio recording. Next slide, please. Now I will talk about presenter discussion. What is a presenter discussion? Each on-demand presentation has a corresponding presenter discussion with a scheduled date and time that was emailed on September 9th. This is a new feature of the meeting. GSA wanted to make sure that all on-demand content speakers had an in-person experience at the meeting. Although most meetings that offer on-demand content do not also offer a video chat platform, we have been able to secure through Cadmium this unique opportunity to facilitate an open dialogue with up to 30 colleagues and attendees at a time via our presenter discussion. This is a 30-minute discussion of your abstract with 4 to 7 other speakers sessioned together on a similar topic. There are no tasks, uploads, or recordings for speakers for presenter discussion. The requirement is to attend the presenter discussion on the scheduled date and time provided to you in the September 9th email. Attendees will listen to your on-demand presentation before attending the presenter discussion. This is not a formal presentation time, but rather a time to discuss the abstract. Next slide, please. This is an example of what a presenter discussion will look like. It is not recorded, and the on-demand presentation will not be played during this time. Presenter discussions are an interactive video chat during a scheduled time. Discussants may make summary remarks during this time, or chairs and co-chairs will facilitate the discussion. A presenter discussion is a time to gather and converse, time to engage, network, and share scholarship through discussions. Next slide, please. Now we welcome any questions for on-demand abstracts and presenter discussions using the questions option in the GoToWebinar panel.
Thank you, Megan. Yes, indeed. At this time, we will pause for clarifying questions about on-demand abstracts and presenter discussions. Please know another question and answer session will be available towards the end of our hour together. I'm seeing questions come in, Megan. So to kick things off, several of them are inquiring about the access key. Where can one find that access key? Is it unique to an individual or is it unique to an abstract?
Sure. The access keys can be found in the email that was sent on September 9th, and it is unique to a presenter or user. It is not unique to the overall abstract. If you are unable to locate that email or unable to locate the access key found in that email, you can ask for it to be resent by emailing abstracts@geron.org.
Great, thank you. I think you're anticipating some of the other questions that are coming in, Megan, because I am seeing comments about, what should you do if you didn't receive an email? And so I think you just noted that if attendees have not received that email, please reach out to abstracts@geron.org.
Yes, and I will add that the email would have been sent from that same email address of abstracts@geron.org if you would like to search your email inbox for that. And I do also encourage you to search perhaps if you have a spam folder within your email inbox or a junk folder within your email inbox to perhaps look there as well.
Great, thank you. And have some questions asking to clarify about the recordings. Is it really audio only? Is there video? If you could expand upon what the recording looks and sounds like.
Sure. So for the on-demand abstracts, you will complete an audio recording, not a video recording, within the Cadmium Presenter Speaker task list. If you proceed to your speaker task list, you'll see one of the tasks is named Record On-Demand Presentation Audio. You will not be able to begin your audio recording until you have uploaded your presentation slides or your one-page poster PDF, and that audio recording is completed within the Cadmium system. It is just audio. There is no video attached to your on-demand presentation. The presenter discussions, which I had mentioned is separate from your on-demand presentation in the sense of that is not a time where an on-demand presentation would be played, but rather a time to discuss with your colleagues the topic of your abstract. That is a video chat platform. That is a live platform where you will click a link to access the presentation, the presenter discussion, and you have the option, of course, to show your video of yourself or not activate your camera as well.
Excellent. And Megan, more on sort of the recording aspect. generally, it looks like a number of attendees are inquiring about, how many times, how many chances do you have to make this recording? A little more detail on sort of those dynamics.
Absolutely. So if you proceed to your speaker task list within Cadmium, again, through the access key link that was emailed to you, and you have uploaded your slides or your one-page poster PDF and proceed to the Record on-Demand Presentation audio task, that is where you will find the length of time available to you. You do not have to fill that entire time that is allotted to you. That is the maximum time, but that will be reflected within that task. And as I mentioned, for your presentation, you will record it slide by slide, or if you have a poster on your single document. You will press record. You can listen back to your recording before you save it. You can start it back over. It is up to you of if saving it once you are satisfied with that audio recording. You can complete that audio recording as many times as you would like prior to the October 12th deadline. Now, I will mention the warning that I had provided. If you complete your audio recording and then you decide that, oops, I would like to make a correction to one of my PowerPoint slides, and you re-upload new slides, that will automatically overwrite your previous slides or your one-page poster PDF and will therefore erase your previously audio recording, because that audio recording is attached to the slides you had uploaded. So please be mindful of that warning, I suppose I should say. So I would encourage everyone to review your presentation material, your slides or your one-page poster PDF, perhaps practice presenting that so that you can make any edits to the slides or your one-page poster PDF before completing the audio recording within Cadmium. And again, you access this through your speaker task list.
Great. And Megan, I think we're inspiring many attendees to find their access keys, go into Cadmium, check out their tasks. So I am finding a couple of comments, questions, concern that after getting in with an access key, they're not seeing their symposium there. Is there a trick we can or tip we can provide or a contact we can provide for assistance?
Sure. If you are accessing your speaker task list within Cadmium and you're not seeing something there, please do email abstracts@geron.org so we can specifically look at your presentations and help troubleshoot those issues or concerns.
Great, thank you. And I know we want to make sure we have some time for the next segment of our program today. We do want to make sure we have time to cover information about streaming symposia. But before we do that, let's just take a couple more questions here. And actually, several of them are around the presentation files themselves. If you could clarify what is the PDF, what should be a PDF, what should be a PowerPoint, and can files, I guess PowerPoint, of course, include animation or embedded videos and such?
Sure, great question. So if you proceed to your speaker task list and you go to the task where it says upload slides or upload poster, it will show you the formats that are acceptable. Typically, paper and symposia use PowerPoint. GSA has available on our instructions for presenters landing page a template that you are welcome to use. And also for our poster presenters, many of our speakers in the past like to build their poster within PowerPoint using one slide, of course, and then saving that file as a PDF. And you will see within your speaker task list for posters that it shows you to upload a PDF. So to just reiterate, posters can be built, certainly, however you wish, but it will have to be uploaded as a PDF file. And for other presentations, you will upload a PowerPoint, but for specifics on formatting, please do, we welcome you to use our GSA provided template, which we have for both posters, paper, and symposia. And also to note in the speaker procedures, we indicate there, as well as other details can be found there, that at this time, no animation or video files are supported by Cadmium at this time to be embedded within your PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you. And I'm seeing several questions inquiring about time zones. So the communications that have been sent out regarding schedules, date and time, are they all East Coast?
Yes, they are all Eastern Standard Time.
Great, thank you. All right, we should move along toward the next segment of our program, but again, please know we'll take some more questions and answers towards the end of our hour together. So with that, we're moving along to the section about streaming symposia. So Andrew, if you would please take it away.
Happy to. Thank you very much, Judy. So streaming symposia, this is a brand new format for presenting a symposium at the annual scientific meeting. And we're going to go over what goes into a streaming symposia, how does it look, and how is it made, and what you need to do if you are part of one. So all of the speakers that are part of a streaming symposia will need to schedule and complete recording calls to pre-record their presentations before the streaming symposia session. All individual speaker presentations will then be combined into one video that is going to be broadcast to a live audience according to a daily program schedule. So instead of the on-demand presentation, which people can pull up at any time they like, these streaming symposia have specific broadcast times throughout the course of the annual scientific meeting online in November. These sessions are going to include a live question and answer period where attendees are going to type questions in and presenters will be there live to answer them, very similar to the way that we're answering questions live today. Each individual speaker has a time allotment for their presentation. I've emailed this to you individually last week. If you have any questions, you can email me back. But all of your chairs should have received this time allotment as well. So if you have questions, you can reach out to them to confirm how much time you have for your presentation. Chairs, co-chairs, and discussants are not going to record anything for a streaming symposia. Streaming symposia sessions are going to total at 45 minutes. And to introduce a streaming symposia session, we're going to have a title card and a house voice, which will begin the session. This is just one more quick note on this, is that when we're talking about recordings today, all of the on-demand recordings that you're going to be doing are audio-based. Only the streaming symposia has a video-based recording. Next slide, please. So this is the basic bones and layout of what a streaming symposia is going to look like. You're probably fairly familiar with this as a webinar kind of format. The symposia presenters will have recorded on their scheduled calls their individual presentations. Those collected recordings will be put together as one video, which plays at the start of the session. Then we're going to move to a live Q&A, where if you are a presenter, you're going to be there live and you're going to be taking questions from an audience. A GSA moderator is going to be on hand to help with the technical aspect of taking those questions in, and the chair is going to be, their main role and responsibility is going to be to facilitate the Q&A between the presenters and the questions coming in. Sessions, all of these streaming symposia sessions will be recorded for on-demand replay. Next slide, please. So let's go over briefly what everyone's role is in a streaming symposia. So who is going to record video? That's just going to be the first authors. So I know that I said that chairs don't record video. If you're a chair and an individual abstract first author, then you will be recording for your individual abstract, okay? But you won't be recording as your role as a chair. Each individual who has a recording, we're just going to do that on their own. They're going to schedule their own recording call, and you're not going to kind of team up and do a symposium recording together. This way you can record on your own time, and our technicians are going to work with you on those recording calls to make sure you stick to time and to make sure that you look and sound good. We'll edit those together for the streaming symposia session. The day of the actual broadcast, you're going to go to a GoToMeeting link, which will be supplied to speakers, chairs, co-chairs, and discussants. And like I said before, chairs and co-chairs, we're going to facilitate the discussion and the Q&A once the video plays. If your symposium has a discussant that wants to make summary remarks, this is the best time for that, to do it live as soon as we cut from the presentations. And again, just a quick note, we have had some questions about, well, how do I record my my call if I'm an on-demand symposium? On demand, do not schedule recording calls. You do all of your own recordings through the Cadmium system. These instructions for recordings are just for streaming symposia. So that being said, go to the next slide. And this is applicable to everyone. And we're going to go and recover the task list, because I don't think Megan or myself can stress this enough. You need to use the task list as your guide for completing your presentation tasks. If you haven't seen your task list yet, you need to get to that access key, which was sent to you on the 9th. Again, if you don't have that email, no problem. Shoot a quick email over to abstracts@geron.org and request it, and we'll send it out to you. Once you click on that access key, you'll see your tailored list of speaker tasks. Once you complete them, you'll see that they turn into this little green check mark, and what we want is green check marks down the row. If you have any issues completing your tasks, uploading files, or downloading any of the PDFs that are in the helpful resources, or logging into your access key, there is a technical support button on this page to reach out to Cadmium if there's a technical problem with this. They're not going to be able to help you if you're not sure about your role as a chair or a first author, but they will be able to help you with any technical issues. And again, I'm just going to reiterate the warning that Megan had said regarding uploading or re-uploading your slides for an on-demand presentation. If you record audio and attach it to your presentation, if you re-upload new slides or poster, it will overwrite that audio. Next slide, please. Important resources on the task list. So we've mentioned this as well, but I want to reiterate, once you get to that task list, directly below all of your individual tasks, you're going to see these important resources. Two of these resources are actually handouts on today's webinar. You can pull them up right now from the GoToMeeting panel. That is the speaker procedures, as well as the PDF document for uploading your slides and audio in Cadmium. That's super helpful if you have questions about how you record per slide. It has very detailed step-by-step directions on how that process works. So please take a look at that. Next slide, please. Okay, this is obviously a very important slide. These are the milestones that we need to hit on our way to November. October 9th is when we're asking all streaming symposia recording calls to be completed. October 12th, you'll see is an updated date from our initial email communication to have all on-demand presentation and audio recordings completed by then. The point of having these earlier deadlines is so that we can have the site up and running with content on October 28th. This is crucial to having this online meeting format run, is to have people be able to access on-demand content before the start of the November meeting. Speaking of which, the dates here for the November meeting are November 4 through 7. And once we get into December, you'll see that all abstracts are going to be published in GSA's Open Access Journal, Innovation and Aging. That's going to happen in December. And then all of the content that is up on the website for the meeting is going to be available all the way through December 31st, the end of the year. And with that, I'll say next slide, Judy.
Thank you, Andrew. I apologize, my computer's a little slow, but there we are. Great. All right, we are at our second segment for questions and answers, and I'm seeing some new sets of questions coming in, but in the meantime, I just want to ask one from the earlier segment, if that's okay, Megan, in particular with the on-demand presenter discussions. If an attendee can't join at the scheduled time, is there any way for participants to make a comment or ask a question to a presenter outside the presenter discussion time?
Yes, absolutely. There will be a question and discussion board attached to each on-demand abstract where questions can be posed for all attendees to see. Also within our website, we will have a capability if attendees elect to show their email where the speaker can be contacted directly for any abstract related questions.
Super. Okay, so I am seeing some new sets of questions coming in following our second segment about streaming symposia. So if I can just summarize several of them at one time. Andrew, if you could clarify a bit about the streaming symposia recordings and again, how that goes about happening. Do presenters have to set up a time? If you could kind of walk through the big steps of how that happens.
Of course. So what's going to happen is if you're a streaming symposia presenter, you need to go to your task list. The first task on your task list is going to be to schedule a recording call. When you click on that, it's going to open up a calendar picker. You're going to pick times that work for you. So you will be required to make 2 calls. There is a tech check call. That's basically for our technicians to check your audio connection and make sure that you're lit well and make sure that there is some consistency across the board for all of our recordings. That's a super quick call. And then there is a recording call as well. You're going to schedule that in the same tool. Once you get on that second call, a technician will be there to help you record your presentation, and then that's it. You're all set.
Great. All right, now I'm starting to see some questions in general about roles and responsibilities for chairs, and so what does that look like? And maybe if I could ask both of you and Megan to start to clarify the role and responsibilities for chairs in on-demand sessions and presenter discussions. And then we'll move to Andrew, if you could answer that same question, but for streaming symposia. So let's start with Megan, please.
Sure. For on-demand abstracts, all chairs and co-chairs have an option, it is not required, an option to upload any presentation slides and complete an audio recording for the on-demand abstracts. For the presenter discussions, we will be asking chairs to help facilitate the discussion during the presenter discussion scheduled date and time. As for action that needs to be completed prior to the October 12th deadline is if you would like to and you are a chair or a co-chair and you have an on-demand abstract, you have the option of uploading presentation material and completing an audio recording. You will see that in your speaker task list. You'll see upload slides. You will also see the task that says to complete an audio, record an on-demand presentation audio.
For a streaming symposium, chairs and discussants do not record any calls ahead of time. Again, that's if your only role is as a chair or a discussant. If you are an individual abstract first author as well as a chair, then you do a recording. If you're a chair or a discussant, what your role is going to be is that once we switch to the live aspect of the streaming symposium, you can then make either summary remarks or we're going to be asking the chair to be sort of our facilitator for answering questions and divvying them up as they come in and from the audience.
Great, Andrew. This is a perfect segue to clarifying the roles of discussants. I'm seeing a couple of many questions around that. So if we could do something similar, Megan, if you could kick off with clarifying the role of discussants in on-demand sessions and presenter discussions. And then, Andrew, if you'd like to add any more clarifying points about that for streaming, that would be great too. So back to you, Megan, for discussant roles and responsibilities.
Sure. For on-demand abstracts, discussants are not assigned any tasks in Cadmium. They do not have a speaker task list. However, discussants may make any type of summary remarks during the presenter discussion scheduled date and time.
Yeah, and just to briefly reiterate, there should be about 20 minutes of Q&A time for a streaming symposium, and that has enough time built. That 20 minutes can certainly hold summary remarks from a discussant if a symposium has one that would like to make summary remarks. Again, that would be the right time to do it.
Great. And I'm looking at streaming symposia questions. In particular, again, Andrew, there are several questions around the audio-visual setup for streaming symposia. Would you mind accentuating again what that looks and feels like? Is it just video, audio, slides? Kind of, if you could review that.
Of course. So when you join your tech check call or your recording call, you are going to be using GoToWebinar, where you will record yourself presenting over a slide deck to our technician. They will walk you through exactly that setup. But it will be very similar to how you've probably been communicating with most people over the course of this kind of COVID-19 world. Once we actually get to the live portion in the actual broadcast date of the streaming symposium, you're going to join a GoToWebinar GoToMeeting. And our techs are going to be there on hand to basically have you in a waiting room until it's time to go live, and you'll just follow their instructions. We're going to take you step by step through the process so that you don't have to do any video switching or anything. That's all going to be handled on our end.
Excellent. And more on sort of the technology front, questions from attendees about, if I upload my slides, but I don't get the audio in by the deadline, what happens?
It's a great question. The due date for completing the audio recording for on-demand abstracts is October 12th. The site will then close and be locked on October 13th. This allows time for GSA staff, along with our Cadmium partners, to ensure the appearance and the functionality of our meeting website so that we may launch our meeting website on October 28th.
Thank you. Trying to see questions about registration. I know registration's open now, but for presenters, clarifying questions about, are they required to register? Looks like their task list is asking for a registration confirmation number, perhaps. If you could walk our attendees through all that.
Yes. Yep. All of our speakers are required to register for the annual meeting. And within the presenter or speaker task list, one of the tasks is to confirm the registration number. After you register and you receive your confirmation, there will be a number attached to that confirmation. So we ask that all speakers enter that within their speaker task list.
If we could add on to that some other questions tied to registration. Do speakers have to register before making recordings?
Actually, no, they don't necessarily. You can, since they're all tasks, you can complete those tasks sort of in any order that you like. So if you are ready and raring to go and you know exactly what you want to record, you can go in and do that today, and then you can do your registration tomorrow and complete that task once you have your number.
Okay, great. Excellent. So I am seeing a couple of new questions coming in about recording times. So it's just sort of in general, if I can summarize the several questions that are coming in about timing. How much time do presenters have in on-demand symposia, for posters, for streaming symposia, sort of the wide gamut of questions about timing. Megan, would you like to start?
Sure. If you would proceed to your speaker task list, one of the tasks is titled Record On-Demand Presentation Audio. If you click on that task, you will see the time that is available to you to complete your recording time. The length of time is dependent on both the format of your abstract as well as the type of your abstract. So if you will see the time allotted, that is the maximum amount of time allotted to you to record your on-demand presentation audio.
For a streaming symposia, it's a little bit more tricky because we have divided the available time from how much time we are allotting for our Q&A session. So basically, roughly speaking, there's 25 minutes, which has been divided amongst how many presenters you have in your symposia, which is why it's a little bit trickier for me to give a blanket answer here. Everyone's symposia is going to have different time allotments for depending on how many people there are. That's why I've emailed each streaming symposia presenter individually last week with their time. Again, that time has also been emailed to your chair. So if you want to check with your chair should have your time allotment as well.
Great, thank you. I'll try to summarize the several remaining questions into one last question, and then we'll move towards closing out the program, because I can't believe it's almost the top of the hour again, and I would love to welcome back James for some closing remarks. So here's our last question, Megan and Andrew. You know, if any of our participants today are having trouble, issues locating messages, or needing special care for unique circumstances, you know, what email, who should they contact? Megan, if you want to start.
Sure. The email that was sent out on September 9th includes your access key, your scheduled presenter discussion, links to important resources such as the speaker procedures, the link to our instructions for presenters page. That email was sent from abstracts@geron.org. If you could search your inbox for that address. I would also encourage any folks to mark that address as a safe sender. Sometimes people have indicated that email automatically went to their spam folder or their junk folder. So I would encourage everyone to look for that email. If you cannot find that email, or if you need your access key resent to you, please send an email to abstracts@geron.org. As a reminder, everyone that has an on-demand abstract should have received on September 9th their access key as well as their scheduled date and time for their presenter discussion.
Thank you so much. Without further ado, we'll return the microphone to James to help close out our hour together. James.
Thank you, Judy, for moderating this morning's webinar, and thank you, Megan and Andrew, for walking through the different processes through the Cadmium system. And thanks for all the great clarifying questions. It's very important that we're able to be responsive to the questions that webinar participants have. We realize that among the many new things that we've all had to learn since the COVID pandemic emerged is, how to use all sorts of online technology platforms. I think we're all very accustomed to moving around, navigating Zoom calls and GoToWebinar and WebEx and Microsoft Teams and other online systems. It's just part of what we've had to do as we've adapted to the COVID-19 pandemic. And at the same time, while it's new to all of us, this Cadmium presentation management system, it is well regarded. It's structured in a step-by-step format to help you complete all the relevant tasks to prepare for your online presentations, but it's still new. Help is available along the way. GSA staff and Cadmium staff are here to assist you, and the email for reaching out to them has been provided, and all the different resources that are attached to the webinar today, as well as available in some of the materials already sent to you, can help to support you in this process. But again, we do recognize it's new, and we'll have to sort of work through it until we're comfortable with the process. Our goal is indeed to have all individuals who have had abstracts accepted to have the ability to participate in the online meeting and share their research. While it's not the same as presenting in person, this online system will dramatically increase access to your presentations because attendees won't have the inherent schedule conflicts that go along with an in-person meeting. Meeting attendees will be able to view your presentations at their convenience for a week prior to the annual scientific meeting even opening, and then they can join the presenter discussions to interact with presenters from each paper session, each symposia session, or groups of individuals who are presenting in the poster session. Again, this is a new feature, but we believe it will dramatically increase opportunities for engagement and interactivity. Quickly, 3 important things, if you would. If you think that colleagues would benefit from participating in a webinar like this, please let them know. We've got one more scheduled tomorrow, Friday. We've had one every day this week. Live webinars provide real-time answers to questions. Please let them know about that. Also, if as you're registering yourself for the annual scientific meeting, we ask you to encourage colleagues to attend who maybe haven't thought about attending the annual scientific meeting in the past, or because of travel limitations, budgets, etc., have never had a chance to try out the annual scientific meeting. Please suggest it to them, because we think this opportunity really, this is an opportunity for people from other disciplines, other adjacencies to gerontology to learn more about what's going on in the aging research environment and to be a part of the conversation. And then finally, please note that throughout the month of October, there are a host of pre-conference events happening. We have 50 different interest group meetings happening. So if you've never participated in those, we encourage you to give it a go. There's information about how to register for those on the GSA website. There are some section business meetings and awards presentations, and some pre-conference workshops and ESPO informal chats as well. If you go to the GSA website, you can find information on the meetings tab and click on pre-conference events in the left-hand navigation. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at GSA's first ever online annual scientific meeting, kicking off October 28th and then going live on November 4th. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye now.